Innovation is the main focus of the Canadian oil and gas industry as it gathers to discuss today some of the biggest challenges faced ever and how to move forward.
We are heading over to the Future of Oil and Gas 2017 conference.
It's a gathering of industry, predictors and luminaries. Now, the focus in the face of many challenges for the oil and gas industry is innovation.
Canada has the natural resources and the wide-ranging expertise and ability to provide innovative technical solutions to Asia's energy security issues. If Canada wants to benefit from Asia's development and growth and remain a relevant and important energy partner, we need to think strategically about positioning ourselves as a long-term provider of energy security to key partners in the Asia Pacific. To be recognized as a strategic energy partner in this new dynamic, Canada must prioritize innovation, push to work smarter and faster in exploration, development, production, and services that will come to define the long-term players in the global economy of tomorrow.
Energy is going to define our future. What it is, where we get it from, what we do with it, and our industry has this amazing opportunity to step into a thought leadership space and be radically different than what we have done in the past.
I would recommend that oil and gas companies spend more time collaborating with technology providers before the field. That's where the power is for guidance, for product development, focused on what the oil and gas companies needs before you step into the realm of field testing, where failure can be very, very costly.
I have the great displeasure of seeing the same thing invented many times with people thinking are aha moments in institution after institution. This is one of the saddest travesties of our country because it wastes the human capital that if innovation and knowledge was better shared, if it was more open, people would be building on that knowledge versus repeating it.
We have to stop playing whack-a-mole with our employees. Allow them to fail, because that's how you're going to learn. Fail fast, fail first, and get on with that experience that we gained from those things.
Are we in the fuels business or the hydrocarbon molecules business? If you think of yourself in the hydrocarbon molecules business, you can do lots of things with hydrocarbon molecules that are value creating beyond just fuels. And that whole notion of innovating across the entire value chain from production to end use, to me, is one of the real areas of big opportunity for us.
Innovation doesn't happen if there isn't a commercialization step to it. Everything up until the point where you're actually you've got a profitable company that's putting this thing into the field, and you've got users who are making use of the technology. Up until that point, it may as well be a hobby. So it's really, really critical that we get the commercialization end of it right.
One of the things we've done at COSIA is try to open up our what we call challenge areas to the world and essentially tell people what our problems are. So let's be more articulate about what exactly is the nature of the challenge that we have, what are the kinds of things the kinds of innovations that can help us address that.
We need to shift to the new paradigm, which is ideas are a dime a dozen in execution, and speed of execution trumps all. That's where value is created, that's where shareholder wealth is created, and it's not about owning that original seed of an idea. That's been proven now to be kind of last century. Let's move to the new model, which is faster, more collaborative.
We really want the whole innovation, commercialization, adoption cycle to be seen as we want to make our regulatory regime such that we want people to be first users and not second users.
The oil and gas industry and the automotive industry have had this symbiotic relationship for a long time, but I don't think we've ever had more in common than we have right now at this time. And I don't see with the battery technology where it is today being the solution. Therefore, we're going to have to use fuel. And if we're going to use fuel with batteries in some kind of combination, let's get together and optimize every ounce of energy that we can get from what is still a relatively inefficient engine. I think the solution's yet to be innovated. I think we still have the best solutions ahead of us. And it just makes sense that we find ways to get together and begin to just brainstorm on these issues and try to find new ways.
Canada does have a productivity issue. We've got lots of great ideas. We've got lots of successful innovators bringing things to the marketplace. We're not a marketplace that has been very successful, especially through this crisis, in taking advantage of those innovations, those commercialized products, and utilizing them in a tough industry to try and create value. And we certainly see it on that global platform where other countries, other jurisdictions are seeming to get ahead of that curve. In Canada, we do need to catch up. We do have that productivity issue.
Who are you competing against on productivity? Is it Total competing with ExxonMobil, the super majors? Is it basins competing with basins? Is it countries? Is Canada competing with the U.S. or the Norwegian continental shelf? If productivity is going to become a competitive advantage, to whom and against whom?
It's all the above. It is basin to basin, country to country, super major to super major, technology company to technology company. But that is what should be driving the competitive intensity that we should be chasing if we are going to be more productive. It is all around operational efficiencies, and we're not going to explore more, we're not going to drill more wells, we're going to try to get more out of existing assets. And there's definitely that theme that seems to be residing right now so far in 2017. It's not about growth at any cost. It is definitely the theme about operational efficiencies, which effectively is productivity.
At the end of the day, we have a resource that's a high cost of production relative to others. We could work 50-hour weeks, or we could work 60-hour weeks, but if but we are competing against resources that can produce much cheaper than we can, so we have to work smart.
The industry has a very significant interest to move for smaller projects, more modular projects, which are faster to execute, which have a much shorter cycle time, which are easier to finance, which are more accessible to a larger number of players. And this is really a very significant challenge for the industry, just trying to promote a new generation of projects which are going to be smaller and less capital intensive. That's a critical evolution we need in our industry to restart on a healthy basis for the long-term future.
I wish I could have been in all of the sessions. There was a lot of energy and a lot of great ideas. And what we'd like to do now is to be able to share with everyone what all the different breakout sessions did, keeping in mind the topic of today, the future of our oil and gas sector.
Hi, I'm Lynn Allen. I'm the Dean of the MacPhail School of Energy at SAIT, and our breakout session was about educating tomorrow's innovators.
I'm Mark Summers. I'm Technical Director of Emissions Reduction Alberta, and we had a very lively discussion focused on methane emission reductions in Alberta.
Brian Lakeman, I'm Executive Director of Technology Partnerships and Investments with Alberta Economic Development and Trade Department. We were looking at clean tech from the perspective of the oil and gas industry.
I'm a partner with KPMG here in Calgary. In our breakout group, we talked about innovation in corporate reporting, moving the corporate reporting beyond the financial statements.
This is Carol Ong from IBM. Our topic is artificial intelligence, and we looked at different use cases of AI in the oil and gas industry. AI really is focused on scaling human expertise in an organization. There's going to be, constant turnover in any organization. We're losing folks who are about to retire. How do we capture the knowledge that's in their head, in their notes, and be able to share that with the rest of our new grads and new entrants and new engineers?
The key conclusion was that it was important for companies to report more than just the financials, as that story beyond the numbers is probably even more important than just the profit or just the assets. It's another key comment that was made, reporting beyond the financials. A key thing to consider is that it's about quality, not the quantity. focus on those things that are important for your stakeholders and report useful KPIs.
Sometimes we're missing the bigger picture, and that was, I think, one of the gaps we ultimately identified is great engineering in the province, but sometimes a bit of a gap on being able to convert that into the sales and the business role that we need to move forward, particularly when it comes to the global market opportunities.
We have a looming methane reduction target in 2025, which is really not that many years away, and a very aggressive reduction target of 45%. And so it's very timely and pertinent to talk about how we accelerate the deployment of practices and technology and otherwise to meet those targets. We need to have a systems approach to innovation and to deployment, and there necessarily needs to be a champion for that. In order to meet ambitious goals in the methane area, there has to be a high level of collaboration of the key players.
We know that we're seeing disruptive change in all industries, including this one. And so it actually is really important that we make progress here. Education is part of the answer, but it needs to be focused at all levels. That's one of the things we talked about. It can't just be youth. It's also the people that are already in industry, both at the front line as well as at the leadership level and all the way to the board level, because that education is key and critical in getting everyone to think differently and actually starting to break down some of the barriers that we have.
This conference, it is a very powerful and important theme about how do we create the future of our oil and gas sector.
This is a very relevant conversation we're having about accelerating the innovation cycle.
We had tremendous, very lively discussion. The conversation went in 1,000 different directions.
We see these conversations as absolutely critical to advancing our business.